Okay, in the last session, session 9 is completed. Today we can discuss about like session 10. Okay, session 10 is you already from the previous sessions. I hope you already understood like how to when to create a private variable, when to create an input variable, when to create an output variable. Now, in the session, there are very other variables as well. Like we can see like how to create those variables and how to work on that in IBM BPM. Okay. First, in the section 10, the first concept is like a creation of EPVs. So what is EPV how can we create a variable? Okay. EPV stands for exposed process value. EPV stands for exposed process value. Okay. Or people will also call it as exposed process variables as well. So what is this EPV? EPVs are nothing but they are business related constants. Business related constants which may change in future. So whenever your business is saying like, okay, we have like some variable or we have some thing called as interest rate or whatever it might be, while explaining during the discussions, if they are saying like as of now the value is this one, but in future it may change. So such type of constants, like whenever your BA or like your designer has mentioned in your design document, that uh, so and so variable is going to be like a constant but may change in the future. So while implementing this project in IBM BPM, you have to take such type of variables as EPVs. You have to take such type of variables as EPVs. Okay. So how to create an EPV? So for creating an EPV, so see here in these are all library items. In the library items, like you can go with here data already you know like how to create a business object that we are already creating. The second one, like exposed process value. Okay, I'm just clicking on that exposed process value. Okay, so here I'm writing what is our project name, my new year process or something. So I'm writing MNY. It won't MNY process constants. Something related to our project. MNY our processor. MNY my new year process, my new year process constants. Okay, I am just clicking on finish. See here, exposure process value enables the end users to set an alternative value while instances of the process are running. So like what this definition says like that, uh, so whenever in future the end users wants to change the value of the EPV, end users wants to change the value of the EPV in runtime, during runtime, they can change. During runtime, they can change. They can change while the instances are running. While the instances are running, so that also we can see like IBM BPM has provided a provision in admin console to change the EPV. We can see that also like how to change the EPV as well. Okay, first we are like learning about like how to create an EPV. I'm just clicking on finish. Okay, here I can add few constants. Here I can add few constants. Okay, here I am adding one is so when I click on here add, so it is asking me like external name. External name like whenever like you are like working, whenever you are accessing some like EPV, you can see with this name. So generally like we will put like external name as int and variable name as like same. So in order to avoid the confusions. So what I am taking is like, so I am taking one is like interest rate. Okay, something called as interest rate. Okay, same I pasted here. Next, if you want any description for what purpose you are creating this EPV, so you can write this. Okay, for what purpose you are creating this value, this variable interest rate. Okay, so I am putting the default value as 10. I am putting the default value as 10. Now, like, okay, it is a variable type is string. Fine. Now there is an option here in progress task new values, and there is also an option like exposure to. Okay, we can see this too as well. Okay, interest rate is fine. Next, there is one more constant I'm adding. Okay, there is something called as case status. There is something called as case status. So assume that this is also like one of the constant as mentioned in your design document. Okay, initially whenever a case is created, the case status is new. Whenever case is created, the case status is new. So like in the design document it is mentioned like as of now we are thinking like it is new, but in future we may want to like change the value from new to like in progress or some other like according to our convenience we may change. So like that's why you have put it in EPP. Okay. Okay, these are all called as exposed process value variables. Okay, this complete is all the variables are in one EPV exposed process. We can say that this is exposed process values. Okay, this is completely exposed process value. Under the exposed process value, you are taking individually the variables. Okay, okay, two are fine. If you want like any number of like constants, you can put all the constants here. Now like here there is something called as exposure to option, so you have to always like expose this to like administrator. You also have to always expose this to this administrator, then only in during runtime if administrator wants to change, if the business asks the BPM administrator that we want to change the interest rate, so that BPM administrator can change this. BPM administrator can change this, but while changing this, he has to see that first of all, whatever you have created, he has to see. When he can see that okay, your process has some EPV means it should be exposed. It should be exposed to the admin. For example, you have created an EPV, fine. You have used it in your project. It's got deployed into the runtime box. You did not expose it to anyone, then your administrator don't have like any access. When administrator logged in and he checks for an EPV, he don't see this like constant this EPV. So like he can't do anything. He can't like modify anything. So that's why always you should expose it to the some like group, so that you should ask your administrator like I'm going to like create an EPV. So to which group I am going to like expose it. Okay. If they are saying like, okay, I'm writing something, admins. Okay, I'm creating a new team called as admins. So from where I have created this new team, like in the process, I just clicked on the plus button. I'm creating a team, or you can also say a participant group, which is the older name of team in 7 version. Okay. So when I'm creating a team, I will ask my like administrator. So what are the uh, groups that you are present, so that I can expose it to you. Okay. Based upon your administrator, what he said, you can expose it to like such groups. One is like TW underscore admins, and also like I'm giving like access to admin as well. Why? Because generally When I log in my process admin console in my local machine, I usually log in with admin. Okay. Control yes. Okay. If, for example, if an administrator is provided, this TW underscore admins, okay, these are like end user groups which we have. Like these are like the groups, our BPM support groups which we have. Okay, these are all the BPM support groups which you have. So what you will do, you will configure with that in your creating an EPV. Okay. So here there is an option called as exposure to. So you are just giving exposure to admins. Exposure to admins. Okay, fine. So that now when you give exposure this to admins, whenever I logged in with like the members of like TW underscore admins group or admin, so like I can see like the EPV which is created by our project. EPV which is created by our project. Okay, next. Here I can see one more value here, one more option here. In progress, task use new values. In progress, task use new values. So what is this means actually? In progress, task use new values. For example, for example, uh, what is this? For example, like you have applied for a loan. You have applied for a loan. The loan is getting processed. The loan is getting processed. Like it is still there. Some verifications or like some are needed. So the bank people are okay doing that work. Meanwhile, what happens like the interest rate of the personal loan is being reduced. The interest rate of the personal loans being reduced from like 10 to 9, reduced from 10 to 9. Okay, there are like two options. There are like two options you need to confirm with the business. For example, interest rate is like reducing from 10 to 9 from so and so date. Like assume that from tomorrow only the interest rate is going to like change it to some 9. Okay, if the interest rate is going to change to some 9, who are the eligible people? Who are the eligible customers for that? Or like there are two options. One is like from tomorrow onwards, whatever the requests I receive, whatever the requests I receive for like loans. So only those requests I need to consider it as like interest rate as 9, or like already some pending actions are there. Already some loans are being processed to this in progress task. That means your loan is being processed, not yet completed. Your loan is not a new request. You already applied a loan 1 week back. It is still processing under like a bank people is doing something, whether like you are also eligible for the bank. So you have to ask whenever we change, you have to confirm with your business like before using this option. Like whenever you change this value of an interest rate, like is that in progress task, that means the tasks which are not completed, which is still pending, so that also has this new value has to be updated, or you want to like update the new value, whatever the value we are changing, you want to update the new value only to the new cases, not for the old cases, then don't check this. If business says like no like in progress task, that means even if something is pending like in like that for that instance also like this EPV value should applicable, new EPV value should be applicable, then you have to check here. So prior like doing this, you need to confirm with the business. Based upon the business decision, you will check if the business says like it will be applicable only to like new customers, not for the old customers. So like new customers who are applying loan from like tomorrow's date. So then you will uncheck this. Then you will uncheck this. Okay. This about like how to create an EPV. This about like how to create an EPV. Okay. Okay, now you understood like how to create an EPV. Fine. Now, okay, let me show you like how to use an EPV. How to use an EPV. So for like finding like how to use an EPV. So what I'm doing is like I'm just taking a process new BPD, else I can
Jagdish,
service. Yes,
one question here. You are telling some external name and variable, right? When we will use that both, like why we have given two names there?
like variable name means what are the variable name we will write. Like external name means with what external name. Whenever like administrator want to change something, which what name he can see. Variable name means whatever the name which we use in our code.
Okay,
So like
fine.
it is better to use like same. For example, we are using different name for external name for different name for variable name. Like whenever you are like deploying some application into like runtime box, you have to like for such like some prod. Okay, while raising a CR to that CR, you have to like attach some release note. In that release note, you have to mention what are like EPV values which are exposed to the administrator, so that based on that he can understand. Look, this is the name which I can see so that I can change the value. Now I am creating a BPD, or else you can also like do it the same like implementation. I went to like implementation. Here I can see various types of services. I am selecting some general system service. Okay, what I did, like I went to like library items in the implementation. Like I have like something called as general system service. Okay, so here I am writing it working with EPV. Working with VPV. So I have general system service. Okay. So here I am drag and dropping a script. Something like set bank constant. Set into something like in the code you have came across something like you have to set some interest value. Okay. So I want to use the whatever the EPV I have created. Now I am going to use that here. See here, whenever you are working with the services, no, like no need to like align something like putting like control button followed by your up arrow or down arrow. If you right click here, there is something called as steady layout will be there. If you click on the steady layout, no, like for example, if there are like something like changes are there, it will automatically adjust. Control yes, or I'm clicking on save button. Now here I am taking a private variable. Here I am taking a private variable interest rate. Okay, here I am taking a private variable interest rate. Now let's come to our code. So here what I did, I drag and drop a server script. I drag and drop a server script. You have seen like how like server script will work in the leave application process. In manager UI, I drag and drop one server script and set the boolean values to like true and false. Okay, here also in my general system service also, this is my symbol for general system service. In my general system service also, I have like server drag and drop that server script. Now, so I'm setting the value of interest rate. PW dot local dot interest rate. Okay. So I'm setting a value as 10. Okay. Is this correct? No. Why? Because like I should not hard code it. Actually, like already interest rate is already there in the EPV. I want to like access it. So here I am writing. If you are something like a local variable, how you are accessing a local variable? TW dot local dot. Similarly, like whenever something there in the EPV, so how you are going to access is like if you type TW dot, so whatever you can see, these are called as namespaces. These are called as namespaces. So here you can see something called as EPV. EPV stands for exposed process value. Okay, dot. You after clicking on dot, I can see something called as toolkit, but I can't see whatever the EPV I have created. What is my EPV name? MNY process constants I can't see. So why I can't see, like if I go to the variable session, if I go to the variable session, Okay, these are local variables. Here this is exposed process value. So this exposed process value, here I don't have like any option like to create here. Why? Because we already created EPV here. So here we are having an option to link an EPV. Suppose you have created EPV in your process, like in your process designer, like you have created an EPV. Like if you are wants to use that EPV, if you wants to use that EPV, so what you have to do, like you have to link that EPV in your variable session. You have to link that EPV in your variable session. See here, this is local variable. So this EPV is different. This EPV is not local variable. Okay, under local variable you are getting input, output and private. Okay, in the right side, see here, add input, add output, add private, you know till now. Like one more option now, link EPV. If you click on this link EPV, it will show me the list of EPVs which I have created. It will show me the list of EPVs which are created. So what I am doing is like I am just selecting the EPV. So when I have selected the EPV, see here, this got added under EPV section. This got added under EPV section. Okay, now come back to the diagram. In the diagram, see here tw dot epv dot, now control followed by your spacebar button. Now you can see like m and y process constants. How you can see? Why? Because whatever the EPV you created, you just linked that EPV. You just linked that EPV with your service. That's why you can see this. Okay. Dot. Okay. Interest rate. Dot in. This is your variable name. This is your variable name. Interest rate. Okay. So, so before typing this, so I want to show you one thing. Interest rate. What is the type of this? Something you can see EPV where. Okay, it is saying like the system is saying like this is belongs to some EPV variable. That's why it is showing EPV where. Okay, remember that point. Now, if I debug this, what is my intention? Whatever the interest rate, that value is 10 is there. So while debugging, I can see the 10 here. So I'm just trying to debug this. Okay, this is my Sri-PC is my host name, 9081 is my port number. Okay, I am debugging. Okay, set interest value, set. Obviously, it will throw me an error. I will show you like why it is throwing an error. Then we can see. See here. What was the error you got? Type mismatch. Expected string, but found something like TW EPV variable scriptable. Okay. Why you got this error? Why you got this error? Like you are doing some assignment here. You are using some assignment operator like equal to means like you are assigning the right side value to the like left side variable. You are assigning the right side value to the left side variable. Okay, when you are doing such type of assignments, both should be same. Both should be of same type. Okay. So if I put here like control space, what is the type of interest rate? Interest rate is of type string. Interest rate is of type string. In EPV also, you have set the interest rate value to a string. The interest rate value to a string only. But here, like if I go here like checking like what is the type of the interest rate, what is the type it is showing? EPV value. This is different type. EPV var is different type and string is different type. System can't, okay, internally we have created that as a string, but system don't understand like this is string, this is like something EPV var, both are different. That's why it is giving like type mismatch error. So you have to do some typecasting here. So see here, you have, like left side is string, right side is also should be string. Whenever you are like assigning something from right side, like you are assigning to some left side variable, so you have to do like typecasting in the right side. So what I'm doing is like I'm taking string off. That means whatever the value it is evaluating, whatever the value it is evaluating, so that value we are taking in the form of string. Remember one thing, our data type in IBM BPM, whenever there is some string data type, if I go to some variable section, see here like this string data type, it starts with capital S. It starts with capital S. So here also while typecasting, see here if you use small s, it will throw an error. If you have to always use capital S. So so that system will understand, okay, this is a string data type. Okay. When you write like this, now let us debug this. See what is the value of interest rate? 10. Okay. Interest rate 10. Okay. Assume that your code has been deployed into the runtime box. Assume that your code has been deployed into the runtime box so that the end users are using. So one fine day, the business has decided that to change the interest rate, to change the interest rate, like people who are taking the loans, like business, like based upon the RBI guidelines, okay, they are changing the interest rate from some 10% to 9%. Okay, 10% to 9%, they are changing the interest rate. So like when business wants to like change the interest rate, they will contact the BPM administrator. Okay, for example, I am the BPM administrator. So what I will do, I am logging into the process admin console. Okay, I am logging into the process admin console. Here I logged in as my PD is logged in with a user called as Devi. Okay, but is my process is exposed to Devi? No. So if I check here in manage EPV also, I can't see that constants. So just log out. So we expose it to admins. So just log in with admin. See in the left side, you can see something called as admin tools. In the left side, in the library items, while discussing like admin console, I have given like small idea about this. What is this EPV at that time? Like we can see like how we get changes. Okay, there is something called as admin tools in the left hand side. If you expand this, you can see like manage EPVs option. Okay, select a snapshot. So whenever you are working in the development environment, whenever you are working on the development environment, if anybody asks you which snapshot you are working, on which snapshot you are working, what will you say? On which snapshot you are working, what will you say? The current version, whatever you are working, that is snapshot is called as tip snapshot, TIP. That's why whenever you are running something, no, in the inspector mode, you can see right now no instances. Yeah, instances are there. You can see what is the under which snapshot you are running. Tip snapshot. Under current snapshot, whatever is there, like whatever you are working, you will say you have to say like under tip snapshot I am working. Okay, right now like I don't have like any servers on my machine. Like now I am in development environment. I want to change the EPV value. Okay, of course I can change it from here itself directly, but in order to like show you like how administrator is changing, so like I asked my administrator to change my EPV. Okay, I asked my administrator to change my EPV. Okay, so we administrator what he will see? Okay, okay. Jagdish has requested for change of some EPV. So like he will try to see. Okay, my new year process. That means their project name is my new year process. Okay. So what is what is the name of the EPV? Working name of the EPV is some MNY process constants. Okay, he has to check it in the snapshot. Which snapshot? He has to check it in tip snapshot. Okay, let us see whether you can see it here or not. Select a snapshot. Here many snapshots are there. Let's check for our snapshot. See here, this is our snapshot. My new year process. My new year process. Okay, you are in main. You did not created any tracks. You did not created any tracks. You are in main. So like the snapshot is tip snapshot. You are in main. The snapshot is tip snapshot. So I'm just selecting this. So that administrator will select this. Select your snapshot. Okay, your snapshot. If it is something deployed into like some SIT or UAT environment, he will open the admin console of that particular environment. After opening the admin console of that particular environment, no, like he will try to see the EPV. So in this process app, my new year process, only one EPV is there. So administrator is selecting the EPV. Which value you are going to change now? Case status or interest rate? I want to change interest rate. Yeah, why? Because just select this interest rate. Obviously, this will get populated for you. Okay. So I'm just clicking on new. Why? Because I'm going to like set a new value. When I clicked on new, see here, it is asking for me like some reason. Uh, Here I'm writing as per RBI guidelines. As per RBI guidelines, okay, we are changing interest rate to some 9%. Okay, here the value is 9, for example, 9, or you can put 9. Okay, if you click, it is asking, okay, this value is 9, fine, but at what date, from what date it should be 9, and from what time it should be affected. Generally, it will take the current sys time. So whenever I am creating the sys time is 6:30 to 17. Now the sys time is 6:33. It came to 6:33. So when I click on OK, it will throw me an error. Why? Because this time is already completed. Why? Because we are using today's date only. So always you have to give the future time. So I'm giving the value as 9. So I have to give the future time. Let's give like a 6:34. Okay, why? Because till the time is 6:33. I'm just clicking on OK. So like see here, like I have modified my like it effective from 6:34:23. My EPB value will get changed. Okay, again come back to our code. Okay, after 6:34:23, like I am going to like run the EPB. I am going to run this service. I'm going to run this service. So we can see like how it is getting affected. Whenever I change the EPV from the administrator, like here, nothing will be changed. Here I can see still the value of the interest rate is still 10 I can see. Okay. But whenever what your administrator has changed in the admin console, it got like affected in the admin console. So see here, now the time is 6:34:23 is already crossed. Okay, now I'm trying to debug this. See here, what is the value like passed to the interest rate? The value 9 got passed. Okay. Whenever the business asked the administrator like to change the EPV value, like from that date, like whatever the requested date by the business, from that date and time, the EPV values are getting changed. So it will calculate the business like with respect to this interest rate. This is like how to create an EPV, how to use an EPV, and how to like modify an EPV value from the administrator. Is it clear? Vamsi or Vivek, do you have any doubts?
Yeah, Jagdish. It's clear for me. Yeah, clear, Jagdish.
Yeah. In the BPD also, like I showed you in services, in the BPD also, you are having an option like link EPV. Like in the BPD also, you can use EPVs. Okay. Now, let's see our like plan.
Jagdish,
Yeah.
I just want to know like why we use that general system size. When we'll go for that?
Yeah. Like whenever you are creating some BPD, no, like you can see by default, you can see two lanes. Whenever you are creating a new PPD, one is team lane, other one is like system lane. What does it system lane indicates? System lane indicates like something which you are automating. Automating in the sense system related task. That means no human intervention is required. No human intervention is required. So whenever you create some such general system service, no, here something like human intervention is required here. Nothing, no human task is involved here. So you can directly drag and drop that in your system lane. So your whenever you are given the connections, no, whenever your application is running, like it will directly run by the system. Got it?
Yeah, okay.
In the high level process, you are using the general system service means something you are writing. Suppose you want to like to get some data from the database. So like you are you have in such case you have to go with the general system service. You are creating like you are writing some query parameters and all. So after that you want to like use that in your process. This is a main BPD which is going to be run. So like in that you are going to put that general system service in the system line so that system can automatically execute that. Okay. So the next one is like environment variables. How to create an environment variables. Okay, this also can be changed by the administrator. So we can see that. So what is this environment variables? Environment variables. These are non-business related constants which may change in future. Generally in interviews, no, generally people will ask mainly this difference. What is the difference between EPV and ENVs? Okay. ENVs are non-business related constant. That means these are not at all related to your business. These environment variables are not at all related to your business. So these are not at all related to your business, so that whenever you are changing from one environment to another environment, in the sense, suppose you are moving from dev environment to test environment, so might be like some changes will come in the from the environment side. Might be like whatever the database you are using, whatever the database you are using in dev environment, in dev environment you are connecting to like one database. So like are you sure that same database you will connect in test environment? Are you sure the same database you will use in prod environment? No. Each and every like environment like will maintain some different database. Okay, will maintain some different database. But whenever your code is moving from one environment to another environment, so like whatever the data base you are connecting, okay, may change. Okay, that means is this something related to business? Is the business issue? Like no, you are moving from one environment to another environment, so some values are getting changed. Okay, such type of variables which are not at all related to the business, which are related to only like the environment specific, such type of variables you have to declare it in environment variables. Such type of variables you have to declare it in environment variables. So whenever you open your process designer for the first time, you can see something called as process app settings. Daily whenever you open, no, the first page open will be like this only, process app settings. In the process app settings, okay, you have like overview file. Here you have something called as environment. What is this environment actually? In this environment, I can see like something called as key, default, development, test, stage, prod. Okay, suppose like I am using like a database like which is having a schema name. I think you are aware of the schema name in your database. Whenever you are connecting to a database, like you will be having some particular schema name. Whenever you click on some table, you can see like schema name dot table name. So what I'm thinking, like the schema name like might be changes from one environment to another environment. So I'm just clicking on add. I am adding a new variable schema. Generally, while creating an environment variables, no, we will use like capital letters. Okay, this is even if you use small also it will work, as it is a best practice. Like some guidelines, like we are following some naming conventions and all, we are going with some capital letters. Okay, next, what was the default value of the schema? The default value of the schema is some 3. In development, I am using some 3. In test, I don't know. Stage, I don't know. Prod, I don't know. I have dropped a mail to my administrator. Like what I'm saying, like I'm pushing my code to like higher environment. Please let me know the schema names for test, stage, and prod. Like I'm going to like connect to so and so database. So based upon their mail, like you are going to like change the schema name. For example, the schema name which is in test environment is ABC. Schema name which is in stage environment is XYZ. Schema name which is in prod environment is like mm, something like ZXC. Okay. Now, if you want like add another environment variable, something called as some data source. Data source is nothing but like to which database you are connecting. So you can add. So n number of like environment variables you can add. If you want, you can select particular and you can also remove this. Okay. Now you understood like how to create an environment variables. Now I am in development environment. So whenever I am working on the development environment, which will be reflected among all this. So whatever you have put it in the development, whatever you have put it in the development here, Sri. So this will reflect in my code. This will reflect in my code. Okay, how to use an environment variable in your code? How to use an environment variable in your code? Okay. So you understood
Means,
now? Yeah.
yeah. How the system will understand and which one is development test or staging of production? Where do
Yeah.
we map that?
Whenever like your administrators like initially when they are creating an environment, whenever they are creating an environment, maybe like SAT environment or like UAT environment or prod environment, like in your IBM BPM, they will be asked a drop down like whether it is a test or stage or prod. They have to select among this. Like if they select some test, so what it is connected to this one. If they select a stage, that server is connected to this one. If it is prod, that is connected to this one. So whatever the values you have kept, that will reflect there.
Visible in production admin console somewhere?
Like changing of environment variables, no.
Yeah.
Like how
No,
it
no,
is linked that you
change
can't
of
see.
environment.
How it is linked
Change of
that
environment.
you can't see actually. Like we don't have any server configuration as well in our machines.
Okay. No, but we have local server, right? No?
No, I don't have like local server on my machine. Like I
Bash,
don't.
Bash is not server.
Yeah, you're saying.
But Babisphere is a server, right?
Okay. If you want like uh, if you want to like create a server also you can create like while installing you know like the process of how to install BPM on your machine. Like there is an option like install process center, you have selected that radio button, you select that install
Yes, yes.
process server. So whenever you install process server, no, it will ask whether it is test stage or prod. If you select some test, it will be automatically connected to your test environment.
So only we can have these many systems, development, test, stage, or production. We cannot add any more here.
Yeah, right. You cannot add anything. Suppose in prod, like you have like many of the application, you want to split the prod into two. So in such case also, like you can you the two environments or three environments you have created in the prod, all will be connected to this prod only.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Now, okay, you understood how to create an environment variables. Now I am using it in one my application. Okay. General system service. Here I am writing name of the general system service. I am writing as working with environment variables. Okay. Similarly, I have drag and drop a server script. Here I am writing set some schema name. I am taking a variable, private variable called schema, which is of type string. Now, like EPV, something I have to like link the environment variables? No. Environment variables you can say something called as global variables or something. It will be like environment variables, you can see it in the process app settings. So wherever you want, you can directly use it. No need of like linking or no, like everywhere it is accessible. Like EPV, you have to always specifically you have to link the EPV if you want to use it. But environment variables, you can directly use it wherever it is required, maybe in the process level or service level. Within this IBM BPM, like whatever the components you have, no, in all of the components you can access the environment variables if it is required for you. Okay, TD layout. Okay. Now here similarly like how I did it earlier, like here I'm writing tw dot local dot schema equal to tw dot local dot schema equal to tw dot environment variable env dot. See here when I click select env, so here last time you have selected EPV namespace. This time we want environment variables to access. So you have written env dot schema. Okay. Here it is not showing what type of variable it is. So let's debug. So I'm getting 3. Fine. If it throws an error like mismatch, no, you have to like do the type casting. Okay, it is directly accessing. Okay, tw dot env dot schema. Okay. So if like you have set something like schema, you are using in your code, fine, everything is good. But in future, like if depending upon the business decision or something, no, sorry, not depending upon the business decision, business won't do anything about like environment variables. Suppose you are moving to some higher environment, actually like your application has went to like UAT. At that time you came to know like, oh, like actually like this is wrong actually. Yeah, in the stage I have whatever the I have put XYZ, this is wrong I have kept. So like you have to correct it. So you can ask the administrator like, please change this value to other value. Why? Because whatever the environment variable I have used is not correct one, this is wrong one, please update the environment variable. So you can request your administrator, please update the, you can request your administrator to change the environment variables. Why? Because again for the environment variable you can't give a snapshot to UAT. Why? Because in order to go to the UAT, it should cross a test. Like see here, whenever some application has been deployed into prod environment, the mirrors, the mirror images, like the mirrors of that should be in test and QA. Like you are using test and UAT, test and stage, the same snapshot should be present. Whenever something is went wrong in the prod, why? Because if the same snapshot is there in the test and like UAT, people can test the same scenario in the test and UAT, why it went wrong. So that in order to decide whether it is related to some environment issue or data issue, or like in order to identify the issue, so all should be in sync. So you already crossed the test environment, you have got some approval from the test manager, like all the cycles have been passed, it went to UAT. And the UAT you came to know like something like you have mentioned the schema name as wrong. So if you give another snapshot, like again your testing team has to get some confirmation from the business, like to do some set of like smoke testing. What testing team will say, okay, you are changing something. Why? Because you already tested in the previous snapshot, that is 100% fine, but this snapshot we are not sure. Again you have to like spend much more effects, so you will get such type of issues. So in order to avoid that, like we will be having a direct option for the administrator to change the environment variables. When you request an administrator, like whenever you are deploying an in some higher environment, in the release note itself or later also you can, but why? Because once it's deployed, your QA team or like your UAT team is going to work on it. So in the release note itself, you can mention like, please update the environment variable to so and so environment variable. Okay, how administrator can update it once this is deployed. Okay, I'm going to like process admin console. Okay, I think this is process admin console logged in with admin. Here I can see whenever I logged in into process admin console, I can see something like this. Okay, I can see something like this. So I'm going to like install apps. I'm going to like install apps. Right now, like of course you are in like dev environment. Like if you click on like all, if you click on like all, where is your process, new my new process app. See here my new uh, okay, once I have taken a snapshot called as mnyw. Okay, no other snapshot it is showing. Why? Because like here installed apps, no, like it is like showing like which I have taken the snapshot in earlier, like my new process app only. So if something you need to like change it, something you need to like change it, how like administrator will do, like assume that I have created something like everything is working fine. I'm going to take a snapshot. So I'm going to take a snapshot now. What is the snapshot? Some 07012015 underscore my new year process. My new year, something like this is my uh, acronym I am thinking. Okay, 01. Okay, I'm not like something like description I can write here. I just click on OK. Okay. Okay. Once I have taken some snapshot here. Once I have taken some snapshot here. So like if I go to like administrator, if I go to like administrator, if I click on, if I refresh this, if I refresh this, I can see that my new year process, my new year process is inactive. For example, your administrator is going to deploy this. Your administrator is going to like deploy this. Okay, he will just now we don't have like any such environment. Just I'm making this as active default. Okay, activate your application. Okay, where is that application? My new year process. Okay, wait for some time. Actually, like whatever the environment variables we have created there, it will show here. Whatever the environment variables we have created there, it will show here. Like, so like installed application, this will activate your application. Okay. Server connection has been lost or clearing the cache in the web browser. Okay. Whenever like administrator has deployed something like make it as active default, no, in the environment variable session, in the environment variable session, like we see like what are the environment variables that are available. You can see what are the environment variables that are available. So I think uh, something called as RBB here. Here I can explain you that if I click on this, let me log in again. I'm not seeing anything in environment variables. See here, like it is showing my environment variable as only on JDBC slash some local DB. So this is the only environment variable which is available in like if we are in dev environment. That's why it is showing that in dev environment. It is showing in dev environment. If I change it to something, if I change it to something, I can change it from here. I can change it from here. Immediately this will get reflected. Immediately this will get reflected. This is the main difference between one of the difference between EPV and ENV. EPV you can schedule it, but ENV you can't schedule it. Whenever the administrator has changed something, that will automatically affected in the code. That will automatically affected in the code. Okay, this is like how the administrator will change your environment variable. So what administrator will do? It will like make your change your environment variable in active default snapshot.
Jagdish,
Yes.
one question here. I mean, if you open that environment variable here,
Yeah, now I can see this schema name 3.
yeah,
This is connected to my dev environment. So see here, whatever the value I have specified in the development environment, I can see this value. Hello.
where the old value yeah, Jagdish, hello. There was some old value, right? Some JDBC, local DB.
That is another processor. I have clicked on another processor, that is retail banking process. Like this is like the
Oh,
processor which I just
this is our.
created a snapshot. Okay, so it will always reflect with respect to your environment only. You can't like when you are in test environment, you cannot ask your administrator like please change the schema name is prod environment. Why? Because your application is not in prod. They can't change it. Why? Because they can see only the environment variables which are related to this environment only. Suppose if I open the admin console of like some like test environment, so I can see only that is related to the test environment. I can change this value as well. This is like how the environment variables can be changed by the administrator.
This one question. Sorry, this one question. Uh, when we add the environment variables, okay, does that automatically refreshes or we need to do any start or anything, something, some other processes we need to refresh, cache or something like that, but just is immediately get affected.
Like whenever your snapshot has been deployed into the runtime box, once the snapshot has been deployed into the runtime box, like when it is
Hmm.
active default, like it will be like you can see that environment variables. No need of
Okay, so
like
these are attached to the snapshot.
no need
As,
of
as
like
we migrate the snapshot
your
to
voice is
production, sorry, as we migrate the snapshot to production and deploy in the production, these will be effective.
can you come again? You are migrating this snapshot into prod environment. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So
Then
as soon as we import it and deploy the app, it
yeah,
will get affected.
yeah, you can see like the if you go to like environment variables, you can see like which is related to prod. The schema which is related to prod, you can see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Jagdish,
Yes.
see, I have one question here. When we were creating the EPVs, there we
Okay.
have selected one thing, right? Task new something. What is that option? Like
Yeah. New.
in progress task. In progress task use new value is there, right?
Yes.
See, I mean that means like what are the already running instances that will use a new value, right?
Yes.
But here also in process admin console also you told one of the options like in-flight data. Like what does the two things difference? That also gives the same meaning, right?
In-flight data that is different. In-flight data is for like migrate option like mm, in the right side like if you have like migrate in-flight data. For example,
Mhm.
like if you want to like migrate the instances from previous snapshot to like current snapshot, like from like previous you have deployed the current snapshot, you want to like migrate the instances like from the previous snapshot to like latest snapshot, then you will use this option migrate in-flight data. Actually at the time of like creating an installation package itself, at the time of like creating an installation package itself, like if it is my second snapshot, if it is my second snapshot which I am deploying, so whenever I am installing into some environment, maybe like assume like prod environment or selected or something, so this is the first time, okay, it is going to create. So second time in the same prod environment I am giving like one snapshot, like wait it will till it like completed, like it is creating a package. Of course the prod environment is not available, just for you can also like create this one from the servers, like you can like I'm not logged in as an administrator. If you if you log in your PD with administrator, you see by clicking on that you can add it. Okay, let's come to like process apps. Okay, this got like installed. Next, if I'm going to install like second option in the same prod environment, okay, it is asking me like an option like whether to migrate the old instances. What is this option? Whether to like leave the instances or migrate the instances. There are two options. User can select either leave or migrate. Suppose you are giving like new snapshot to the prod, like already some old snapshot is there. Obviously, whatever the instances are there in the older snapshot, whatever the requests which are still processing, all the requests should be migrated to the newer snapshot, right? So you will select and migrate option, you will create an installation package. For example, if you create like like this, whenever you are deploying using some script commands, whenever deploying that application in your runtime box, the previous snapshot will automatically go to the inactive state and current snapshot will come to active default state. You're getting my point? Which snapshot
Yeah,
will
Jagdish.
be in like suppose if you are in prod environment, your process app is something like your process app name is test. So your process app should be of active default snapshot. Only this snapshot is running, right? This snapshot is running in your prod environment. Okay. Process app name is some test active default. Suppose if you are given like another version like test one, like now you want to make this as active default. Now you want to make this as active default. So if you make this as active default, what should be the status of like older snapshot? So this you want to make it as active default. So the older snapshot will go to inactive mode. The older snapshot will go to inactive mode. So when the older snapshot will go to inactive mode, if user selected migrate option during installation package, while creating an installation package, if I created the migrate option, if I opted that migrate option, it would be fine. Okay. For example, the same I am explaining again. If test is there, which is active default. So you have given a newer snapshot, test one. If you have given a newer snapshot, test one. So like you did not selected the migrate option. You did not selected the migrate option. Now, if you deploy like one more snapshot, it will come into only like active state. It will come into only like active state. It won't go directly to active default snapshot. But once after it is going to active default snapshot, then only your test one will run. So what you will do when it is something like active, when it is something like active, see here there is something process app is there. Like I can now it is like active. What is this change customer request? Now this snapshot becomes active. Like this, your snapshot will be in active state, but not in active default. So in order to make it active default, what you have to do? You have to like select the default version. Okay, if I select the default version, so what will happen? This will make to like active default. So only one snapshot at a time will be default. The other snapshot still in active mode, not in inactive state. So why it is in active mode, like the instances you have to still migrate it. If user like requested you like I forgot to like please migrate the instances while installing. So like in such case you have to click on like migrate in-flight data. Okay, it will take some time actually. It will show the previous snapshots which are available. So you have to select that snapshots from which snapshot you want to migrate and you can click on this migrate option. So it will like migrate all the instances from old snapshot to newer snapshot. Once the migration has been completed, you are going to make it as inactive. You are going to make it as inactive. Got it? If user did not like opted the migrate option during like installation package, during creating an installation package, like this all will come. Like you have to make it default. Again, you have to like migrate the use this option. If user select the migrate option there, directly it will come this active default. No, there won't be like much work for the administrator. Is it clear, Vivek? Vivek is
Yeah,
clear.
Jagdish.
Yeah. Okay. So once the EPVs and ENVs both can be changed from the admin console. Both can be changed from the admin console. Okay. Next, apart from this EPVs and ENV, we are having like one more type of variable called as resource bundle. Okay, sometimes you will create this resource bundle as well. What is this resource bundle? Oh, okay, it's already 7:07. Okay, we'll meet in tomorrow session. Tomorrow session, I will like explain you that resource bundle. We'll have like another session actually. Okay.